Well, since we've learned about the insurance world and we learned about Progressive and how they were successful, what I want to talk to now is a little bit about the people that actually work as agents in the insurance world. Now, insurance is really all about actuarial charts and collecting enough premiums so you can afford to pay for catastrophic events, like Dane mentioned. It's not what we would consider typically an exciting industry to be in, right? It's insurance. You think insurance, wow, that's super exciting. But if that's the case, why are there over 1.2 million insurance agents in the United States? Chapping?
Residual income.
Well, there's a lot of benefits to being an insurance agent. There really is. And so some of those benefits are you're independent. You have flexibility. You have the ability to build your own business. What Joe just mentioned, residual income. And then there's no cap on your earnings. So that's why people get into the insurance world, is because they can do that. Now, there's a couple downsides to working in insurance as well. One is it takes a lot of work and effort. And the second is you have a lot of competition. And so you have 1.2 million other agents going after the same leads that you're trying to get. And so it's interesting. I had a friend, his name's Kimball, and he started an insurance agency in a really good part of town. And I was talking to him about that, and he said what he needed to do to build his agency was he needed to put in about 3 to 5 years of good work before his residuals would create a significant income. Because he knew that once he hit that 3 to 5 year range, then he would basically have it made, because then he would increase his income every single year after that. He said it's getting past that 3 to 5 year range. Once I get there, I've got it made. And so if you look at the insurance world, there's a lot of similarities to those that are consultants or managers with Dixon Golf. In fact, a lot of the benefits are the same in that there's flexibility. You're independent. You can build your own business. Residual income. Insurance, people buy insurance every year. They renew. Guess how often they have golf tournaments? Every year. So you can help that tournament every year and build residual. And then there's no cap on your earnings. Now, there's some additional benefits that you have with Dixon Golf. First of all, we get to work in the golf industry. It's kind of fun. We get to help charities. We get to help the environment. And a huge benefit to working in Dixon Golf is your leads are provided. That's a tough one in insurance, is you gotta go find your own leads. Here, all your leads are there. You just gotta call them. And so as I was talking to Kimball, he said as he built his insurance agency, the number one thing that he needed to do was spend 2 hours a day in prospecting. And so, well, why is that? He says that is the lifeblood of insurance. He goes, I have to spend 2 hours a day prospecting every single day. And there's a lot of things that get in my way. I may want to take care of administrative tasks. I may want to take care of customers and claims. He goes, but the number one thing I have to remember is 2 hours a day of prospecting, because that builds my funnel, keeps my pipeline full. And then if I do that one task, I know that in 3 to 5 years I'll have the residual income to continue. In fact, that one single thing is why about 93% of all insurance agents fail in their first 3 years, is because they neglect to put that consistent time, and they call it prospecting, in every single day. And unfortunately, Kimball became a casualty of that. Because even though he knew exactly what he needed to do, he got busy with other things, and he didn't spend that 2 hours a day prospecting like he set out to do in the beginning. And with Dixon Golf, it's very similar. With Dixon Golf, we have to pick up the phone. Why is it so hard to get on the phone and call these tournaments? Because that's the number one reason people fail in insurance. It's the number one reason people fail at Dixon Golf is because they don't spend that time every time they decide to work to put a couple hours into calling mode. Why is it hard to get into calling mode and make calls? That's a huge deal. Because it is tough. People take it personally when they get rejected. And I dealt with that on the doors, knowing that if you don't get thick skin, it's tough. That's very good. Why else is it difficult? Absolutely. You don't have someone making you work. Flexibility is a two-edged sword. Yep. When you are your own boss, it's easier to let yourself off the hook than it is to be let off the hook by someone else. And so you're exactly right. You deal with rejection. And oftentimes you just deal with the rejection by the answering machine. I mean, you're going to get, when you make phone calls, 8 out of 10 phone calls, you're leaving a message. And so you kind of feel, oh, I'm getting nowhere. But the reality is, if you spend that consistent time in calling mode, it's like being on the doors. You're going to get the 5 that say yes. That's far more important than the 95 that say no. But you have to go through the 95. And that's hard for people to do. And so as you look at Dixon Golf and what we have to offer, it really comes down to one thing to be successful for the tournament manager or the tournament consultants and the territory managers. Because their job, all of you that are happy to go out on the golf course, you don't go out on the golf course unless someone has spent time calling all these tournaments to find them and talk to them and help them understand what we're doing. And so if you can't pick up the phone on a consistent basis, you're not going to make it in insurance. And you're probably not going to make it in golf either, because that consistency is key.
So a few years ago, we introduced what we called the gold standard. And the gold standard is an arbitrary number that's based on the value of a gold bar, like the one that you see here. So a gold bar is worth about $40,000. And so William and I, we decided, okay, let's look at the habits of managers and consultants that make over $40,000 versus managers and consultants that make less than $40,000. And so we went through and we looked at the correlations, and we found the top 3 correlations and said, okay, this is the gold standard. And basically, if you do those 3 things, you're guaranteed to make over $40,000. Now, they're not very difficult things, and if you want to double the gold standard and make $80,000, it's possible. And not only that, if you want to make over $100,000, you can do that as well. So an interesting thing when we started talking about insurance and making that kind of the theme of our presentation today, I found that the average insurance agent makes just under $40,000 a year. It was just an interesting coincidence. Now, we talked about why people get into insurance earlier, and money is one of them, right? People get into insurance because they're going to make money, not for $40,000 a year. They want to make more than that, right? And if you look at the average, they're making less than $40,000. Well, what is it that's causing people to really get into it? Well, they want to make more. And in fact, if you look at the top 10% of insurance agents, they make well into the 6 figures. So what is the difference between the top insurance agents and the average insurance agents? Well, it's all a matter of, like William said, the prospecting. It's the time that they're spending doing it. They're not treating it like a hobby. They're treating it like a career. They're putting in the time and the effort to make it work. And so that is really related to exactly what the gold standard is all about, is putting in that time. And so the first of the gold standards has to do with the time in calling mode. That is the number one predictor of success at Dixon Golf. And we can tell you about how much you're going to make based on how many hours you're willing to pick up the phone and call people. So if you look at managers and consultants that made over $40,000, they spent more than 500 hours in calling mode over the course of the year. And 500 hours seems like that's a lot, but if you break it down on a weekly basis, that's an average of 10 hours a week. 10 hours a week is not a full-time job. In fact, you can double that, and you'd be looking at $80,000 a year, 20 hours a week. Still not even a full-time job. If you wanted to triple it and be one of those top 10% of insurance agents and make over $100,000, even that is very possible. It's just a matter of scheduling it, treating it like it's a career, not like it's a hobby. Now, if you look at managers and consultants that made less than $40,000, they spent about 100 hours in calling mode over the course of the year. Now, 100 hours broken down on a weekly basis is 2 hours a week.
Plus your 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
Vacation's important.
It is. You spend more time than that watching Netflix. Right? 2 hours a week. You probably spend more time than that watching TV in the course of a day, right? That is not. That is not what we consider a job. That's what we consider a hobby. And if you treat anything like a hobby, you're going to make money like it's a hobby. Now, with the gold standard, I'm going to talk a lot about the earnings and the money. It's important to recognize why we do this. The money is just a way we keep score. The real reason that we're doing this is because we're helping the community. We're helping charitable golf events. We're building relationships. We're helping them to have a better event, to earn more money at those events. We're taking a load off of those organizers. We're actually doing something good for the world. We're also doing it because we're supporting the environment. We're doing something that's good for an environmental cause. We're doing it for a lot of good reasons out there. It just happens to be that when we do more good for the world, when we make a higher positive impact, we also end up making more money in the process. So even though I talk about the gold standard and I talk about the money, it's not the end-all be-all. It's just the way that we can measure how we're doing. So the second of the gold standards is for closing. This is important because the tournament consultants and territory managers that make over $40,000 understand the importance of the off-season. They are booking over 200 events before May, before things get busy on the golf course. Now, that's not a monumental feat. That's booking maybe 12 events a week. And certainly you can double that or triple it if you want to be one of those top 10% that's making $100,000 a year or more. But the idea, again, is understanding the importance of the preseason and spending the time and booking the events before the season actually comes. Whereas if you look at the managers and consultants that made less than $40,000, well, they booked an average of 50 events before the season, which comes down to maybe 2 events a week, which, again, is not a job. That's what we consider a hobby. So those are some important things to think about as you're going in as a consultant or manager, focusing on what you can do during the preseason and the time that you're going to spend. Make a schedule. Stick to it. Be disciplined. If you do that, you will be successful.
Now, I mentioned calling mode. For those of you that don't know, calling mode is a system that we created that identifies all the leads in your area based on, have they worked with us before? Have I talked to them recently? When their tournament is. And we take all that information, and calling mode designates the most important call for you to make next, so you don't have to think about any of that. All you have to do is get in, click a button, here's the next most important call for you to make. Call it. Most likely you'll leave a message. There's a message to leave, and then go to the next call. And so calling mode, when we first started, we didn't have anything like calling mode, did we?
We had an Excel spreadsheet.
We had an Excel spreadsheet with some you pick through it. And what we found is that when people started doing calling mode, all that decision making went away. They were 5 times more effective. And so calling mode is one of the efficiency systems that we develop so that you are as effective as possible. Because we at corporate can do a lot of things. The thing we cannot do is create relationships. And those are up to you. And so if we can make everything else efficient, and if you just follow that system, then you can do what you do best, which is you. And so I want to talk a little bit about our customer. Who is our customer? Is it the golfers? Not really. Is it the pro players? No. It's the charity. And so we call the head of the charity a POC. Stands for point of contact. Now they're really called tournament chair, tournament directors, tournament heads, whatever. We call them POCs. Don't call them POC to their face because they don't know what that means. Calling me a POC, you know. but that's what we call them. So they're our client. So let's look at their experience and let's understand a little bit who our customer is. Now, as I've talked, and many of you have heard me on the conference calls, in that I run a tournament every year. And I got talked into it because I don't even know why I got talked into it. It's a BYU alumni tournament, and so I have an affinity to the football program. And so they used that weakness against me, and I ran a tournament, and then I was at a dinner for the BYU Management Society, some dinner. I didn't know anyone in that whole room. I knew one person, actually. And so I'm sitting there at dinner. I was with Dane. We were at this luncheon, and some old lady comes up to me. She taps me on the shoulder, and she goes, "Are you William Carey?" I'm like, "Yeah, who wants to know?" And she goes, "Did you run that golf tournament last year?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "We want you to do it again."
And I laughed at it.
And he started laughing. And I'm like, "Okay." And that's how I was assigned to run this golf tournament. So we did it, and then she called me up. "I want you to do it again." I'm like, "Fine." And that experience is typical. How do these POCs get their job? Do they apply? No. You ran a tournament. How did you get that wonderful job? You got voluntold, right? That's pretty much how it happens. Is you show up to the committee meeting late, you get to run the golf tournament. You might be the only one that shows up. Then you're running the golf tournament, right? Because we're all part of some organization. That organization typically needs funds to do what they do. And so, as we mentioned before, one of the easiest and most common ways is to run a golf tournament. And so it's expected. And so that POC runs it. Is it their job that they get paid for? No. Did you get paid to run your tournament? No. Yet, did you spend time doing it? Yes, exactly. So it's put yourself in their position. It's a job that you really don't want. You're not getting paid for. You're spending way too much time.
They usually don't know anything about it.
And you don't know what you're doing. When you first did this, did you have a clue about running a golf tournament?
For me, no, but at least I'm glad that the person I work with did.
They were in the process of handing this off to you so that they could get out. So, I feel bad for POCs because I feel bad for me. Because my wife's like, "Why are you spending all this time? How much money are you making from this?" "None." "Why are you doing it?" "Because I want to help." The kids need your help, and so you're dealing with a job that you don't really want, that you're not getting paid for, and you don't know how to do. And a lot of them don't even know anything about golf. And so even if you do know about golf, if you do something once a year, are you any good at it? No. No one's good at anything they do once a year. If I try exercising once a year, then it's called being injured once a year. That's what happens. And so that's the position that these POCs are in. So they're in this job and surprisingly, they do the job. But why do they do it? They feel an obligation. This is their contribution as to why they're helping this charity. So my heart goes out to all the POCs that are doing this because, what did you say, hundreds of hours. It's a lot of time and stress to do this. Well, what kind of things are you stressing over as a POC? What are your concerns? There's a lot to think about. You've got food, you got a course, you got to get players, you got to get sponsors, you got to get gifts for the sponsors, you got to make it fun, you got to be entertaining, you got to run a good golf tournament. And you want to do it so that they'll come back, so you don't look bad, that everything works out. Those are all the stresses.
And the weather.
And hope the weather goes well. Nothing you can do
You
about
gotta throw that one right on the back.
That's right.
You can't control
Nothing
that
you can do about that one.
No, we sometimes claim that somebody's gonna be the prayer person.
So you have a committee prayer person in charge. But that, and so oftentimes you build a committee so that you're not handling all those duties yourselves. But those are the stresses that our clients are going through. Something they don't want to do, but they're doing it anyways. So can we help them with any of those things? Absolutely. We can help with the on-course entertainment, and they don't have to do anything. That's the key, is they don't have to do anything. People like not having to do things. So we can help them with that. What else can we help with?
Also, swag bag.
We can help with swag bag. I'll tell you, the difference between good tournaments and bad tournaments is the swag bag. And who wants to go back? If you have a choice of tournaments, which one do you go back to? The swag bag. To give you an idea, as you get in my tournament, we didn't charge a ton. It was a few $100, but I put $90 per person into that swag bag, and they got a lot of stuff they don't know how much they got, but they're getting, in their view, they're getting hundreds of dollars worth of product, and so they come back to my tournament just for the swag bag, because it's return investment. Tournaments that make money know that they need to put a lot of stuff. Can we help them with that? Absolutely. We can help them with their swag bag and help them with that. What else can we help with?
Fun.
Make it fun. The whole point is to make it fun. We can make it fun on the course. We can help with the games. Would you rather just shoot a par 3 just to get a score, or would you rather shoot with a chance to go to the Super Bowl or the Masters? You want to win? Do people want to win? Do they have that competitive, like to gamble? We can help with the hole-in-one insurance. We can help with a lot of things. We can help with the consulting. When you want to register, what's the best way to register? To hope that they come with money, or should you register online? Oh, so you need a website for that. So we can help them. We can provide that. In fact, as we've gotten into these tournaments, we can provide just about everything you need. So if I come to you as a POC and I say, look, I can help you with all the things you need to do. I'll do it for you. I won't charge you. And I'll save you about 100 hours. Is that a good deal? That's a huge deal.
Sign me up.
So but I'll tell you, the biggest thing that we bring is that experience and the time saving. Because we can now help them do it right, and we can help them save a lot of the time. Because it's not really hard what they do. The fact is if you're not used to doing it, it's really hard because you don't know what you're not doing. And we bring that. As Dixon Golf, as tournament consultants, we bring that to the POCs. So if you think, well, great, that's hunky-dory. We do it all. I can't help you with your food or your golf course. Everything else, I can help you with. It's pretty amazing what we can do. So you think, well, that's fantastic. And it is. But the real question is, why doesn't everyone say yes then? Our biggest responsibility, we already know that we can save literally hundreds of hours of time, save them money, help them make more money, and make their tournament far better. We've already have all the tools for that. Your responsibility is to relay that information so they believe you. It's building trust. Because I can say all that, and they'll be like, yeah, right. You have no idea what I'm going through. Because guess what these POCs are dealing with? They are on an island. They're not working with you didn't work with a bunch of other POCs to do this, right? They're all by themselves, and so they think they're the only ones that are going through what they're going through. And so if I call Judith up and I say, Judith, I'm going to solve all your problems. I know all this. I'm going to save you all this time and money. She's going to be like, what are you selling? Quick.
Exactly.
And so the key, and like this is the biggest responsibility you have, is to build trust so that Judith actually believes that you can help her with these things. The fact that we can help them is undeniable. I can help them, but I can't build the trust. You guys can build the trust and use the tools that we have to help them. That's the key to this job. That's what actually makes this job fun, is to develop that relationship and that trust. And so what that comes down to is how do we approach these POCs? And that's where we get to the pitch. The pitch has been designed to develop that trust, which allows you to have a discussion with these POCs so you build that relationship of trust, and then they start to believe what you can do for them. Once they believe what you can do for them, we can do so much for them. We can make their lives so much easier. We can save them hundreds of hours of time, make them a lot more money, and once they experience that, they're your customer forever. And you're going to have residual income forever simply because you helped them. But building the trust is the hard part. So when we call up a POC, and we'll go through the specifics, I want to go through the psychology of the pitch because it's very important that you follow this psychology. If you get out of order or do it wrong,
It doesn't work.
exactly.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't. So you have to, first of all, you call them up and there's a short introduction. And I say short introduction because do POCs care about me? No.
Not yet.
Not yet. But they don't care about me right now. So why would I spend a lot of time talking about me? Hi, Judith. This is William with Dixon Golf. We sponsor a lot of tournaments in the area for our marketing. And I understand you're having a tournament coming up. And I want to know if it's something we want to sponsor. Can you tell me a bit about your tournament? That's it. That's all I tell about myself. But I threw out a little dangle thing out there. What was that? Sponsor. I sponsor tournaments. What are you looking for as a POC? Sponsors. So I just told her who I was and what I do. We sponsor tournaments. So that's the dangling part. The next part is I asked her about her tournament. That is key. In fact, this is the most important part. If you don't learn anything else from this whole meeting, if you learn that you have to get into calling mode consistently, do it a couple hours every day, and if you learn this next part, you'll be successful. That's really all it takes. That part is asking questions. Because guess how I gained the trust of Judith? She talks. I actually find out about her tournament. And think about it this way. If you have a friend who's starting a golf tournament, and they say, I'm starting a golf tournament, what would you do? Tell me about it. How'd you get involved with that? What are you smoking, Judith? Tell me about it. What are you going to do? I would ask you a bunch of questions as your friend, right? Because I really want to know. And I wouldn't ask yes or no questions. I wouldn't say, Judith, are you running this tournament? Yes. Right, that's a dumb question. I would ask you because I want to know. I want information. Because you're my friend, I'm going to help you. And that's what's key in this. This part should take the most time of your conversation. Because if Judith starts telling me about her tournament, in fact, she's going to start telling me not so much about her tournament, she's going to start telling me about the organization and why she's doing the tournament. She's not a golf nerd. She's not focused on the logistics of the tournament. That's not why she's doing this. Why were you POC, besides being voluntold?
To raise money.
Yeah, because you care about what organization was it?
Rotary.
So the Rotary. So she cared about the Rotary. She wanted to do her civic duty to help. And she cared. So that's where the conversation's going to go, if I ask. If I talk to her about why she's doing it, how she's doing it, what she's doing, she's going to tell me these things. If she thinks I'm genuine. If she thinks I'm just trying to sell her something, she's going to say, what are you trying to sell? But if I genuinely ask her and genuinely want to know, she's going to tell me because she knows I may sponsor her tournament. Because I said I sponsor tournaments. And so the next part of the whole conversation is all about asking questions. In fact, we had a training in Phoenix a couple weeks ago, and brand new tournament consultant, and she got in and she was following the script like she should, and she was getting shut down. Like, hey, this is Christy, and click. Hey, Christy, this is Christy, I want to talk about her tournament. She got a little better. She got to the point where she was asking a couple questions, and then she would go and we'll talk a little bit about the other parts, and she was getting down there. And then she had a phone call where she was She called him and she had a Connecticut phone number. And the guy's all, is that a Connecticut phone number? She goes, well, yeah, I'm from this place. And he goes, well, I'm from this place. And I just hear him start talking and talking. And she spent 20 minutes on the phone with this guy, didn't talk a thing about golf, didn't talk about anything. And it was the best conversation she's had because they built a connection and there was trust. So that's the key. The key is building that connection and the trust. And you do it by caring. In fact, in calling mode, we don't have you go and look up information on the tournament before you call for 2 reasons. One, most likely you're going to leave a message. So if you just spent 5 or 10 minutes researching this tournament, you wasted your time because you're on to the next one. But 2, and equally as important, we want you to find out the information from Judith, from that POC. And you find it out if you're interested and if you're genuinely interested in them. Because they'll recognize if you're genuinely interested. Because I'll give you, kind of an obvious answer. Most of the tournaments are the same. They're pretty much all the same. So we know this, but Judith's different. And if I actually focus on her and I'm genuinely interested in her and what she's doing, she'll like me. And her job is to actually get people to be involved in her tournament. If she likes me and she knows I want to be involved, she'll want me involved. So let her do her job, which is sell the tournament, talk about it, do all that. And the more she talks, the more I'm going to be successful. So after we ask a lot of questions and spend all our time on that, then I'm going to help you and I'm going to give you something for free. And the psychology behind that is, if you give someone something at no obligation, guess what? They feel obligated. And so after I've discussed Judith's tournament, I'm going to give her some things. First of all, Judith, I'm going to give you a free prize. Do POCs look for free prizes?
Oh, yes.
Every one of them is looking for a free prize. So I'm going to give you a free prize. No obligation. And it's going to include a hat, balls, divot tool. It's called an amateur endorsement. It's an awesome prize that you can give away through your tournament. And I'm going to build a website for you. And so I'm going to help you. If you don't have a website, I'm going to build it for you. And you don't even have to know anything about computers. Because I want you to be able to take your reservations online and get everything done online. So I'm going to offer 2 free things to her that she needs.
So, yeah.
And I'll just tell them. They're like, what are you doing? Well, first of all, I want to help you. And second of all, as I get into I have other things I can do for you. If I help you and make a good tournament, then you might purchase some of the things that I have. You don't have to. But I'm going to help you. I'm going to save you about 100 hours. So is that worth it to you with no risk? Yeah. So I'm giving you something for free. By giving that, you now feel obligated. And so then I'm going to tell you the other things that I can do. I can come out and bring reps and be entertainers on the course. I can help you with some of your goodie bags. I can help you with your insurance. I can explain those things to you. But first I get the reps on the course because that's free. That doesn't cost you anything. I get your information. And then I let you know some of the other things I can do. We can help you with your hole-in-one insurance, help you with this. But you don't have to do those things. But I figure if I help you and I save you a bunch of time and money, you might want to buy them from me. Is that a fair risk? And but that's the psychology of how this goes about. What typically happens is people will give a long introduction and then they'll skip to the part where we introduce what we do for them. They skip steps 2 and 3, kind of the most important steps that we have, especially step 2. So make sure when you talk to POCs, regardless of the actual words that you use, that you always go in this order, and it always is about building that relationship and that discussion. Let's see, that matters, and that's what makes this work. So we've talked about the challenges. We've talked about those things we can do to go on the course, provide entertainment, and do that. One of the big things that, as we mentioned before, that keeps golfers coming back to tournaments is to have good custom products. And as a consultant, from about a year out all the way till about a month out before their tournament, your job is to help them prepare for that tournament. And so there's really 3 things to think about. Bless you. First thing is you want to book the challenges. You want to help them with the website. Those are the first 2 that we talked about. The next thing to do as a consultant is let them know that we can help them with their sponsorships. Because people, what are they trying to do? They're trying to raise money. And so the goal of a tournament is to raise money. So if you have what you do is you sell sponsorships to raise money. So you sell a golf ball sponsorship so that company or person that sponsors it, they get their logo on golf balls that you hand out. That does two things. It allows that company to support you and market them, and it allows the golfers to get a fun gift. And so we have a lot of products, from golf balls to shirts to divot tools to bags to koozies to you name it, to help you sell sponsorships. And that's really the thing, is anything they need in the goodie bag and anything that they want to sponsor, whether it's a big item like a shirt or a towel, we can provide that for them. So that's one thing you want to mention after you book the website and book the challenges. Say, hey, I can help you with all your sponsorship deals. I can help you set up sponsorships. And as you go through, we have a lot of conference calls on teaching about that and doing that. But that's one of the big things, especially for RTJ courses and things like that. If you can't, let's say you can't get on the course. Cornelia had one where they don't want people asking for money on the course. Well, that's okay. That's not all that we do. We can help you make money before the event by setting up sponsorships. And if you think about one of the hard things to do, when you're looking for your products, it's hard enough to buy a Christmas present for someone, right? Try buying 100 Christmas presents for people where you have to stay in budget. You got to make sure they like it. You got to go shopping all over. She spent hundreds of hours. My guess is a lot of that was finding prizes for the golfers. So what if you can just come to me and I can just kind of do it for you? You tell me what you want, what sponsors, I can provide all that. That's where, if I do all the stuff for you, you're probably going to want to come through me because I make your life a lot easier. So we provide some of the best products at the best prices and the best service so that they save time. And they don't have to go shopping. Because who shops for 100 pop sockets? People aren't used to shopping for that kind of stuff. Who shops for 100 towels
Well, they do.
with
They
the logo?
Google it, and then they get so many replies that they just don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's a pain. Who shops for koozies with the logo on it or towels with the logo on it? We're not used to doing that, and so I can do that for you. And yeah, a pop socket, if you go to the store, it's going to cost you $9.99. With me, it's going to cost you $2.99. Plus, you get your logo on it, and I take care of the whole transaction for you. And so I make your life easier by being that one person to go to, where you don't have to go spending all your time elsewhere, because I'll already give you the best price and the best product and the best service. So that's one of the things that we offer. So as a consultant, you help tournaments by making their life easy, so that now they have one person to go to that can take care of all their stuff.
Is there a place where there's a list of prices and everything?
In the database, you can go in, and it has a list of all the different things, and there's a link with all the pictures of them and things like that. And all the custom product sales that we do, you as the consultant get 20%. And so that adds up, because if you want to know, tournaments spend a lot of money using these. And it's interesting, I was telling a couple of you, as you build trust, they spend more and more money. So Justin McAtee up in Pittsburgh, he was just telling me last week, he said, I had a tournament last year, they just bought a 60-person tournament. They just bought towels and some balls. And the nice thing with our company is everyone needs goodie bags. We provide free goodie bags when they buy 2 custom products. So that is something they all need. So not just buy 1, buy 2 and you get the goodie bag. But last year they bought, for a 60-player event, it cost them about $1,000. But then they sell it as sponsorships for like $3,000. So they made money. And Justin made, $200 for that. This year they called him up and they said, hey, you took care of us. What else you got? He's told them all the things. And he goes, they want this, this, and this. At the end of the day, after he put it all in together, $4,000. So he made $800 for that residual repeat call because they trusted him. Because tournaments spend not just thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars in product for their golfers. And like I said, I'd budget $90 for my golfers. So $90 times 100 players, that's $9,000 just for goodie bags that I do. And so those are things, tournaments do this. And if you help them save their time and do that, you benefit quite a bit on those.
So William talked about the custom products. I wanted to talk about the insurance for a minute. Hole-in-one insurance is an affordable way where tournaments can make a really big deal out of holes that otherwise would just be another hole on the golf course. And so that hole-in-one, the opportunity to hit for a trip to the Masters or a trip to the Super Bowl, it's, not very many people are actually going to hit a hole-in-one. But at every tournament where you have that opportunity, it makes the hole a big hole. And so POCs love to have that. It makes the tournament more exciting. And so last year, over 100,000 people were able to hit for big prizes like that, to go to the Masters or to go to the Super Bowl. And like I said, most of them didn't hit it. But for the 4 people who actually hit hole-in-ones last year, that was a big deal. That makes a big difference.
So how many nationwide we have in insurance policy
4.
winners?
So that is fun stuff, and it certainly is something that's going to be memorable for them. But the idea is the hole-in-one insurance is going to make the events more exciting whether or not somebody actually hits it. So this year I had the opportunity early in the year to talk to somebody from American Express. And their headquarters are in Phoenix. And so I was talking to one of their employees who was asking me a little bit more about what we did. He wanted to know how it was all integrated. And so I talked to him about the custom products that we offer. And he got so excited. He said, I run a tournament up in Las Vegas every year. I had no idea that you do this. And I've got one place. I can get all of this stuff from one place. He was sold. And honestly, he didn't even care so much about prices. We have good products, we have great prices, but he didn't care about that. He just cared about the fact that I could save him so much time. So he was thrilled. He said, I'm getting everything from you next year. And then I went in and I started talking about the hole-in-one insurance and about putting contests and about the lifetime experiences that we sell. And he freaked. He thought that was the coolest thing. He's like, I have always wanted to do something big like that for my tournament, but I always ran out of time, and I honestly never knew where to start. And I had no idea how affordable it could be. So this year, he's going to buy 4 of the lifetime experiences. He's going to do a putting contest, and he might do a shootout as well. The interesting thing about this is I'm not the salesperson. I was just explaining to him what we do, right? I don't have to have
lunch or dinner or both.
I don't have to have extreme sales talent to be able to do this. And if me, who's not the salesperson, can just tell him what we're doing and he's like, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to buy it all. Well, anybody who does this and does it consistently and just follows the system can be successful because we're making a difference. We're helping the charity make their event better. We're saving them money, we're helping them be more profitable, and most importantly, we're saving that POC their most valuable resource, which is their time. And so if we remember what we're really doing, we have every benefit in the world to offer them. We're making a difference. We're helping them. We're helping their events.
And so if you look at the challenges for us, and it's interesting, it's kind of like FedEx. We talked about their strategies. FedEx did this overnight delivery. They got into doing business, and then they got big into business when they went into ground freight and all that. With us, we started with the challenges that kind of got us in the door in a lot of these tournaments because no one else could offer that. And so, in all honesty, the challenges, we break about even in getting there. And then we'll make money as people buy products, they buy insurance, and they do all that. But we've been able to build our business by getting there. And now it's about helping these people and realizing we can help them 10 times what we're doing just by getting in the door with the challenges. So as we grow, absolutely. We started by helping them with just a little bit, and as we help them more and more and more, and now we're doing a lot of things. We can help them a lot, which every time we help them provide a good product to them, we make a margin on that.
Do we have to
as a consultant, your job is really to talk to tournaments from about a year out until about a month out from their tournament. Because you're helping with those three things: the events, the website, and trying to get sponsors to pay for custom products. Once you get to about a month before the tournament, now these POCs starting to get a little nervous, right? They're like, oh, what's going on? And what they'll find is they'll start to see gaps where they were planning on getting a lot of prizes for their players, but the sponsors only paid for a part of those. At this point, the tournament typically has a budget where they need to pay for the rest of the prizes, because when people go to tournaments, they expect to get good prizes. And a lot of people say, well, it's only rich people that go to these tournaments. Well, it's not, but guess what rich people like more than anything?
Free stuff.
Free stuff. Well, besides more money. But they like free stuff. And so as a good tournament, you want to have as much free stuff to offer as possible. And so at that 30-day call, there's another three things that you do as a territory manager. 1, 2, 3, there. The first thing is you let them know what reps are coming out, and you confirm the rep. But the other thing you do is you talk to them about putting insurance. So we talked about doing a putting contest. So you teach them about a putting contest, because now they're thinking about the day of the event. And then the third thing you do is you offer them a bundle, because they don't have a lot of time and they're stressed. Well, why does Flow offer bundles?
Same time and money.
Save time and money and convenience, absolutely. So when I go to a tournament, hey, Judith, you've got a few sponsors to sell a few things. Do you have all your giveaway prizes and everything for your T prizes? No, I don't have all those. Okay, what's your budget? Well, I budgeted $10 per player. Great. Why don't I put together a bundle for you that covers all your players? I can get you some balls and dip tool and some insurance. I can do a lot for that $10 per player. I'll do it all for you. Let me put a bundle, see if you like it. So your world, all you need to know is how many players and how much money. I can now offer you a bundle for that, which makes your life easier, and it's all the goodies that you needed, probably more than what you thought you could afford. And so at 30 days, putting contest and offer bundles, because they're thinking and starting to stress. And that's where they'll buy a lot of the bundles, because their tournament's coming up quickly. So the cool thing is at 30 days, confirm the rep,
I know.
sell putting contests, and sell bundles. That's when POCs want to buy those, because they're getting stressed and they need those things for their tournaments.
All right, so I'm going to talk briefly about working events. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, because right now it's not quite time to work events because the season hasn't started yet. But I wanted to go through the psychology of the pitch, because when we write a pitch, it's designed for success. So for the Dixon Challenge pitch, starts out, gather around and get your free golf ball. And there's two very important elements to that opening line. Number one, we want all 4 of the players to gather at the same place at the same time, so we don't have to repeat our pitch multiple times. And we've got a little bait, a free golf ball, to get them there. And I don't give those free golf balls out until I have all 4 of them standing in front of me. And then I can start delivering the pitch as I'm delivering the golf balls. The second thing about that free golf ball is when I give something to somebody at no obligation, guess what?
They're out.
Yeah, they're obligated to listen to me, and they're obligated to play my game. And so I deliver the golf balls as I welcome them to the Dixon Challenge hole. It's going to be your favorite hole of the day. You get a mulligan for playing. And then I tell them why I'm there, which happens to be the same reason that they're there. We're here today raising money for the World Fit for Kids, right? Because now we're on the same team. The 4 of you, me, we're all here. We're doing it together. We're raising money for the World Fit for Kids. Then I get into the rules. For a $10 donation, you get to hit 2 golf balls. You get to hit your golf ball, and you get to hit my golf ball. If either one lands on the green, then you win a free sleeve of Dixon Earth golf balls. But the cool thing is, even if you don't win, you still get a bunch of free gifts just for your participation today, including a subscription to Golf Digest for a year. So that's kind of the basics of what they're getting. Now I want to get peer pressure on my side of the equation. So if all 4 of you donate, then your team gets an automatic birdie on this hole. Now they want to pressure each other to donate so that they can get the free birdie. And then comes the most important part, which is the close. And it's not a weak close. There's no question about who's going to participate. They're all going to participate. The only question is, who's paying for the group?
They love
Yeah. And then
They're like,
shut
oh,
up.
that's awesome.
And then you just don't say anything. Usually somebody already has $40 pulled out of their pocket. But even if they don't, you just be quiet, and whoever breaks the silence loses. Just don't let it be you.
Yeah, if you just make that awkward silence, they're going to look at each other and someone's going to pay. It works, doesn't it? Now, if you're a rep and you go out and work an event, a Dixon event as a rep, last year you averaged $100 just for the rep pay. If you worked an Aurelius event as a rep, you averaged $170. If you're a Dixon rep, about 4% of the time you would make over $200 for the day. If you were an Aurelius rep, about 33% of the time you would make over $200. So for about 70% more money and 8 times the chance to make a big payday, which events do you guys want to work? Why? Because you're smart?
Time management.
So if you're going to spend the same amount of time, would you rather make twice as much money? And I say this to this group because this is the group of consultants and managers. I want you guys to make the most money. You better become a consultant. But the reality is, the Aurelius is it's another game. It's just as effective. And once you get to know it, those that do Aurelius always want to do Aurelius because you make more money. And so the principles of the pitch are the exact same, a few different words, but it's the same concept, introduction, be on their side, tell them the rules, and then close. And instead of going through it, I'm going to let Mel DeGagne from New York show us her Aurelius pitch that she filmed. She was the #1 Aurelius rep last year at a 97% success rate.
Hi guys, it's Mel from New York. I just want to give you a few tips on how to host your Aurelius challenge. So sorry I'm doing this myself right now because I'm alone on this call, but I figured I'd give you a little heads up. So this is how I set up my table, and unfortunately today is like a hurricane, so you can't really get a good idea. I always usually have my obviously hole-in-one like this, and I keep my coupons in the back just like this. Also have all my stuff ready. So I think one of the first things that's the most important about this challenge is that you can make mistakes and it's okay. But as long as you sell anything with confidence, I think that's really the selling point of anything that you do, sales related. So I always like to know what this game is about. Obviously I do now, but at the beginning I wanted to make sure that I knew how the rules work and understand the game of golf, meaning the par 5s. What does a par 5 mean? What does a par 4 mean? If you're dropping at the 100-yard marker, what does that mean? What does that give you as far as a score? What are the possibilities with that? So understanding the game, I think, is pretty much one of the most important things that you could do for yourself to have good results at Aurelius. So I'm going to skip from here to having a group and seeing you guys do the pitch. So I will get back later. Bye. My name is Melanie.
All right, Melanie, let her rip. We don't have all our attention, but we're here.
So we're here raising money for community bankers today. So here's how it works. For a $20 donation, you're going to get the chance to hit 2 golf balls from here to try to get the ball in one of the 10 hula hoops that are out there in the fairway. If you get it in, you're going to win a free customizable driver, something like this. It's worth $350. You can pick this or a $500 watch, whichever prize you prefer. If you're not lucky with the hoop game, it's okay. You guys all get a raffle ticket to get the chance at winning this later tonight. We're going to raffle one off. Now it gets better. If the 4 of you donate, you get to play your 2 shots. When you're done, you're going to do like they're doing. You're going to pick up the golf balls, drive up to the 100-yard marker, and drop your ball there for shot number 1 on this par 5. So you can easily get an eagle or double eagle on this hole. From there, you're also in range for a hole-in-one. We have the $1 Million Fiesta Ball if anybody gets that. And just for your donation, no matter what happens, to say thank you today for donating to Community Bankers, everybody gets a free wedge or a hybrid. Something like this is worth $150. You guys are in?
Sounds like a bargain.
Sounds like, I mean, what?
Is there anybody up there to remind us of the rules once you get up 100 yards?
I'll repeat.
All right, what's the?
So if you notice, she said it. They said, "Sure, here's our money." What did you say? It's about having fun. She can repeat the rules. That's not what's important. What's important is you're there, you make it fun, and you do it with confidence. So she just does that same pitch over and over, and 97% of the people that show up give her $20, and she makes a ton of money doing real-life challenges.
And the last of the 3 gold standards is dealing with working events. Consultants and managers who make over $40,000, work over 50 events in the course of the year, they're getting out on the course multiple times a week. And so as you get out on the golf course, not only do you make money from being out at the event, but you also become a better consultant. Like you were saying, you know, it's easier to do the script because of your experience, right? And so as you get more experience on the course, you're talking on the phone becomes better because you can relate to people. You can say, oh yeah, we went to that course last week with this event and whatnot. So it makes you more relatable, makes you better.
All right. Most of you have seen this statue. It's actually entitled The Thinker by Rodin. He was commissioned in 1880 to create this. And the thinker is often characterized as philosophy. So people think philosophy, they think the thinker. Now there's a disease that happens to creep in a lot of people in our society. And that disease is called paralysis by analysis. And paralysis by analysis is when people become a thinker instead of what we really need in this business, which is a doer. Now, a doer is someone who sets a schedule and sticks to it. A doer is someone that when they start their schedule, they start with calling mode for a couple hours every day because they do that consistency. A doer succeeds, not because they're great, but simply because they do. And that's what's required at Dixon Golf, is to be a doer. Because we've taken the opportunities of the insurance world, mixed that with the excitement of the golf world, thrown in the opportunity to help charities, and included all your leads, and we wrapped it up in a system that's unmatched in the business world. And so you have an opportunity to take advantage of that if you do. And so if you want to take advantage of that, the simple thing is you set a schedule. You stick to it, and then you do. You get into calling mode on a consistent basis. And if you do that, you'll have the opportunity to build a business of your dreams. Now, when you think of fun stuff, last year, Wendy Wisner in Washington, D.C., one of Joe's TMs, won the title of Top Territory Manager. And Wendy, which was interesting, she was not top in any given category that we monitor. But what she was consistent. And so she was the top 5 in every given category, simply because she was a doer. And so because of that, Wendy was able to go on a fantastic cruise with the other regional managers this year. And we went to Cozumel, Mexico, and Key West. How was it, Joe? It was terrible, I'm sure.
January, first week in January, you had to go get on a boat. You know.
Better than being in Baltimore? Debatable.
Yeah. It's always good to get away. It's always good. No, it's phenomenal.
But she won. She was able to come with us and her guest because she did. And next year we're going to have another getaway, and we want you to come along. And so the top territory manager or tournament consultant, whoever's the most consistent, is going to join us on a fabulous cruise next year. Or I should say getaway. It's not always a cruise.
All right, so we talked about the gold standard and what it takes to achieve the gold standard. The first thing to get there is to get into calling mode and spend those first 20 hours so that you can learn and figure out what you're doing and show your consistency in being able to make and keep a schedule. So as far as the gold standard is concerned, there's a lot of opportunity. The money is there. But again, I want to stress, the money is not the reason that we do it, because there's so many other great reasons to be involved with what we're doing. At Dixon Golf, we believe in doing something that's good for the environment, and we provide eco-friendly products for that cause. We believe in making a difference in the community, and we do that by sponsoring charitable golf events and helping their events be better and make more money, and making the lives of POCs easier so that they continue to do their events, because if it's too much of a hassle, they'll just cancel it altogether. And so we want to make their lives better. We also believe in helping golfers have a better game. We provide great equipment, and we make it a fun experience for them on the golf course. Our representatives do a great job of making it a fun experience. But apart from what we do to make a positive impact on the environment, the community, and the game, we also believe in making the lives of our territory managers, regional managers, representatives, and tournament consultants better as well. We want to provide you an opportunity where you can do something that is good for people, that can make you feel good about what you're contributing to the community. We want to give you an opportunity where you can have a flexible schedule, where you can actually live your life and work rather than have work take over your life. That is just not an opportunity that happens very frequently in corporate America. We want to provide you an opportunity where you can work outside in a good environment, on a golf course in the sun, have fun, and enjoy the game of golf. Enjoy the industry that you're working in. We believe in making a positive impact. So go out there, make a positive impact on the world, and enjoy what you're doing. Because it really is a unique, rare opportunity where you actually get to make money doing something that most people that you're working around and with, they're volunteering to do the same thing that you're getting paid to do.
Every event, you have people doing the same thing you're doing that aren't getting paid. So enjoy.